How is everybody?
Good.
Good.
Good. Hope you are well as well.
I am. Good to see you, Stuart.
Good to see you.
Can't beat the weather.
So they haven't had the site walk yet for Lake Street, right?
The site visits, the but I'm signed up for it, so.
Okay. Well, good evening, everybody. I want to welcome you all to our monthly meeting of the Peabody Conservation Commission. Today is Wednesday, May 19th, 2021. Today's meeting is being attended remotely to keep us safe, and I will read the governor's rules suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Laws, Chapter 30A, subsection 18, and the Governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Peabody Conservation Commission will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time by means of technological means. Tonight, members present, commissioners present this evening, myself, Michael Rizzo, I am the chair. Right now I see Mike Vivaldi and Stu Lazarus, Arthur Apis, and Amanda Green, who's an alternate, but I think we'll have voting privileges this evening. And Lucio Del Negro, who's our conservation agent. I don't see any other members at this time. So our first item, and I want to ask that everybody keep their cameras on. If you have to mute your voice for some reason, that's okay, but I think we should try to be present in terms of the video to all people. First item on the agenda is under notice of intent. It's a public hearing or a notice of intent submitted by Norse Environmental Services, Inc., Maureen Harold, Guatara, and Adriano Ponciano, owners. Proposed project is the construction of an addition with the garage under, driveway cut, remove 2 trees, associated grading and utilities in the buffer zone to a BBW. The property is known as 43 Pulaski Street, map 53, lot 34A in the city of Peabody.
I have promoted Tara and Adrian. I don't know if their representative is going to be here tonight. So do you guys have anyone with you?
She will not be attending, but we will try our best to explain what's going on.
I can share
and
my
screen. Contractor should be online as well.
Yep, I can share my screen. Is your contractor supposed to be here?
He should be online. We reached out to 2 minutes ago. It's Crush Construction. Let me switch.
Does anyone else hear that background noise? I can't really hear.
Yeah, it seems you seem a little muffled.
I do?
A little bit, yeah. Compared to when we were speaking before the meeting started, everybody was nice and clear. And
yeah, I've heard this since we've logged on, and I thought it was just someone's like background noise or something. So what is your contractor's name?
Let me switch.
Cross Construction.
Do you know if he's calling in?
We can reach out to him, but we did earlier. He should be joining.
Arthur, I'm gonna mute you in case it's you. Nope. I don't know. This is like really driving me crazy.
Yeah, I'll mute myself. Let me mute myself.
Oh, that works for me. Hi, Bruce. Can everyone hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Is it clearer now?
It is. It's clear.
Okay.
and
Sorry,
quiet.
I don't know what's going on. Okay, so I don't see your contractor.
He's a 406 number.
Can I go back into my settings?
Or I mean, if you want, maybe it's because you have two computers on. Could that be it?
I have two computers on, but there's no sound, there's no camera or sound associated with that other computer.
Someone like mowing their lawn?
Like an air conditioner sound?
No, just the sound of the laptop, just the fan on the laptop.
That might actually be
Loudest fan.
You know, when I was setting it up, I've been trying to maximize the volume because sometimes I have a little trouble hearing everybody. So there was something in the settings that I did change tonight, and it set background to low instead of automatic. And that might be the reason. Is there a way I can get back to that without losing myself to the meeting? Anybody?
You should just be able to get back right into your settings. Like you won't be able. Oh,
I'm trying to look at what options I have. I see video, mute, share screen, record. I don't see any. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. Bear with me a minute. Let's see. Speakers. Oops, where'd it go? Microphone, high def, audio. Audio settings. Here we go. Okay, wait a minute. Here we go. Auto. Okay.
Wow. There it is.
Okay, is that better?
Yeah.
Yes, can you hear us now though?
Much better.
I can. Yep.
Okay, good.
Thank you, guys.
Wait.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
our contractor should be on a 406 number, Lucia.
1 second. I only see a 978. If he could raise his, I don't even know if he's on a phone. I don't think he's gonna be able to raise his hand. Otherwise, I just see a Galaxy S8. That's probably him.
Yeah, he said he's on the phone. So if that's the only one, we could try it. If that's okay.
Yeah, I just did.
Yeah, he said that's him. Yep.
Okay, cool. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen and then I'm gonna leave it over. Like, I'm just here if the commission wants me to do anything, but I'm gonna share my screen and do what your consultant would have done. Hold on.
Thank you.
Okay, just so everybody knows, Travis Watchkit is present.
So, do we need to explain?
Mike, did you read the ad or the announcement? I can't remember because we started off so weird.
I did.
Okay, great. Yes, so you
You want me to read it again?
No, I just forgot if you did. So this is
Okay.
43 Pulaski Street, and yes, you will need to tell them what you're doing, please.
Okay.
So we are doing a 30 by 25 addition with a 2-car garage underneath and a master suite and a master bathroom with an extra bedroom. I'm not sure what else to say. And we're gonna need a driveway. So I'm not,
Really about it.
yeah, I'm really know what to say since the person that we were expecting to be on the call couldn't make it. So, if you have any questions, I guess Rich or us, we can try to explain as best as we can. So,
Um,
May I ask a question?
yes.
What is the existing ground like today? I think I understood cutting 2 trees to make way for the proposed addition.
Yes.
So is it mostly just like grass, or is it some trees and some grass, or is it wooded, or is it?
No, it's just grass and the 2 trees in the front.
Uh-huh. And who indicated the 30 feet on to the wetlands? Who
We'd hired the environmental, I forget her name.
Maureen.
Yeah.
Norse Environmental.
Yep.
North Environmental, okay. So they know what they're doing. That's 30 feet is, okay.
So
Through the chair,
is the question is the proposed addition, you mentioned that there was going to be a garage under. So is the site going to remain the topography of the site? Is that going to change, or is it there's a garage under and the building and the addition is up in the air? That's up higher. Are you going down or digging in? I can't tell by the
No,
plan.
we are not gonna dig in, but Rich could explain that best.
Say that again. I didn't get that.
No, we're not gonna go down. Nothing's gonna be like underground or whatever, but Rich could explain that
How
best.
far, so from the street, how far below the street level would be the slab, or where the slab of the garage?
There will be no.
Oh, it's pretty flat, so it's gonna be straight going right in?
It is, yes.
Okay, so your addition is up higher. It's up higher.
So
In terms of the existing home,
Well, you said it's a garage under, right?
well, it's not really
Um,
under. It's gonna be at the same level as the existing home.
So
And
the,
On slab.
so the living space is behind the garage?
no, it's
Well-
it's gonna be like 3 feet back. So like, I mean, it's gonna be a setback of 3 feet.
But the living space is above the garage, and the garage is on ground floor.
Yes.
Yes. I have the contractor on the phone because he's having trouble speaking. So it's a 2-car garage with a master suite above,
All right, that was what
connected
Sorry.
into the existing house.
okay, so from the existing house, you'll have stairs going up to your master?
Yes.
Okay,
They're already existing.
now I understand it. So the site's gonna stay, the topography of the site is gonna be the same?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Mhm.
And the
through-
driveway
through-
doesn't exist today either, then the impervious pavement is not impervious. The driveway does not exist today.
No.
It is not.
Yes.
Through the chair,
Yes,
I just have a couple questions. I went on Google Maps while we're talking about this, and the street view. It's number 43 Pulaski.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and it's a gray house with a red door and 2 big bushes right next to each side of the door.
Yep.
Yep.
All right, so if that's the case, I'm a little confused. There already is an existing driveway on the left-hand side of the house, right?
Yeah,
It is.
that will be removed.
That'll be removed and that'll be turned into lawn?
Yes.
Okay, so I guess what I'm gonna ask you is so you are going to make a cut in the ground so that you can drive into the new driveway?
It's, well, we don't have a sidewalk.
Right. We don't, there's no
No, that's
sidewalk.
not what I'm saying, but right now, the grade of your house, the lawn area is much higher, where you have to go up a set of stairs from your driveway to get to your front door. Correct?
No,
No?
and to the front, yes.
Right,
So-
what I'm saying to you is, so you're going to be dropping the elevation, the garage,
The
the,
driveway I'm sorry, just to clarify, the driveway is gonna go straight into the garage and then the stairs will be inside of the garage. Going up into the first level.
I understand, so, but my question is, I guess what my question is the garage is not gonna be at the same elevation as your current home. It's gonna be at the same elevation as your current driveway, correct? The garage right now is under the house.
Well, we don't have a garage right now.
Okay, so there is no garage, so you just drive right up.
Right. There's no garage. We're adding that to the house. So the contract, I didn't mean to cut you off. The contractor was talking as well.
Well, let me ask the contractor then. Are they gonna be driving uphill to a garage and the second floor is higher than their existing house? Or is it, I'm not really clear on how they're doing this.
We're not building any grade up.
Yeah, because I just went on Google Maps also. It looks like the topography from your front stairs to the street does pitch down. So your house is set up a little higher. So if you're gonna come in at street level, then you would have the opportunity to come in, cut from the street, so that your garage floor would be higher than the street, but not so high as the grass next to the building, which would
I can explain this.
probably make it easier to get from your living space to your upstairs. But,
There's no elevation on
so
it.
what I'm
Yeah,
getting at, like, so on your driveway, are you gonna have on each side of the driveway, as you come into your garage, are you gonna have like a wall on each side, small wall?
Did you hear that question?
Did you
So
hear?
there's no elevation to the right side of the house, so it's just flat, just like the existing driveway. So we don't need to like go up. It's like right, like just like the existing driveway is. So it doesn't go up at all on the right side of the house where the addition is going. So there'll be no grading.
Your house has the 2 trees in front of it, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
Can I ask, so the new addition is a garage. Are you going to be excavating into the dirt in order to build that garage? Or is it gonna be level with the grade that's there now?
Yes, 4 feet for the frost wall.
Okay, so you're gonna be digging down 4 feet?
Yes.
Okay,
And then the foundation will be a foot or so above the grade.
okay.
Through the chair.
Yes.
I'm wondering if there's any plans to replace the 2 trees that are being cut down.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, great. Thank you.
Okay, did you, know where you're gonna put them?
I didn't get that. What was that?
Gonna
I'm
put
sorry.
them, in the buffer zone? Towards the right of the garage?
Yes.
Right,
What? I didn't hear what he said.
Where we're gonna put the trees.
Oh, yes, sorry, I didn't hear you.
okay, so then the 2 trees that you plan on, you're taking down 2, and you're gonna put a couple trees back.
Yes.
Mhm.
And they're gonna be on the side of the new addition?
Yes. Sorry. Yeah, I'm just nodding my head.
Or wherever you suggest we put them. I mean, it's negotiable.
Is your contractor, at the meeting, is he here? But he can't, he's having trouble,
Yeah, he's on the phone.
okay. So a simple question to your contractor, you just ask him this question. From the street, from the level of the roadway to the finished floor of the garage, the slab on the garage that you'll park your cars on, can you give me a rough idea what the difference in grade will be?
Did you hear the question? From the existing grade now?
No, from the street. So
From the street.
grade, from the grade of the roadway,
The grade of the roadway.
okay, when you, from there to the finished floor of your garage, the cement,
Finished floor of the garage.
what might be the proposed difference in elevation between the street and the,
What might be
Where?
the proposed elevation from the street? No, it's not, there's no slope in the front.
There isn't.
Less than 2 feet, he said. Roughly.
less than 2 feet?
Mhm. There's
Oh.
really no slope going up.
At all, it's flat.
It's flat land.
Okay, well, the street view looks like it's on a hill, looks like. look at
Well, the
street view.
existing houses,
Yeah.
but where the proposed driveway is going, it's not, so.
Straight in, right?
Right.
Straight in, slope just enough to pitch the water to the street.
Exactly.
I get it, okay.
Do you want me to try to pull up a topo on AppGeo and see if that helps?
No, I kind of get it, I understand now, so you'll have a 4-foot frost wall plus
There were plans uploaded to the website. I'm not sure if you had a chance to look at those, but
I don't know, there's nothing, all I have is this drawing we're looking at.
What plans are you talking about? Because this is what we got. Like, are you talking about like building department? Because I don't get those. You would have had to send those to us separately.
I don't get that, Rich. It was on the town city, for the permit.
Yeah, so I don't get, I only got what Norse Environmental gave me, and everything they gave me, it has been uploaded and the commission can see it. Yeah, that's not a good topo.
Do you want me to email them to you?
Yeah, if you could just get those to Lucia. I think I
Okay.
understand I understand what you're building, so not all that concerned.
May I ask a question?
Yes,
Just for clarification to the applicant, the gray faint line is the erosion control, is that, I can kind of see it says erosion control, is what is being proposed, does the applicant know?
Yes. What is it? It's the hay and the stakes and everything that will go there.
We actually do not allow hay bales. And that would be one of my conditions. And it's sad that the developer or the contractor is not on, because I feel like this meeting is not going as smooth as it could. And it's a little difficult, like, for me after the fact to have to, explain all this to a contractor after he puts hay bales down. So that's one of the things is we do not allow hay bales. We don't allow plastic meshing unless it's photodegradable or biodegradable. It either has to be compost logs or straw wattles.
Okay, and so I'm sorry, what did you say you? Oh, he heard you. Okay, he can use either. So straw, what did you say? The straw.
A compost log or straw wattles. And no plastic meshing. It needs to be photodegradable, biodegradable.
Okay. Yep, he said that's fine.
What is the slope generally? Is it flat to the wetlands as well? Is it generally a flat grade to the wetlands as well?
It is.
I think it's
So,
reasonable.
So here's the part that we just need to get clear is, your builders told us that basically there's only the difference in elevation from the street to the finished floor of the garage is enough to just pitch the water, towards the street. So it's going to be relatively flat. And looking at the site on street view, which is kind of sometimes it's high, sometimes it's distorted, but your grass, your front lawn goes up. It's elevated up a little. How much it is, I'm not sure. It could be a foot, could be 2 feet from the street to where your front stairs are in elevation. So what that tells me is when he cuts the driveway in, he's coming in flat. What I don't want to happen is you to excavate the whole side yard to make that level. All right.
Okay.
And so certainly the erosion controls look like they're about 10 feet from the proposed building, which tells me you can't go any further to the right. So what I'm saying is that the grade, when you enter your driveway, the grass on the side on the right side, it's going to slope up to blend into the existing grounds. Okay, and we don't want you cutting all that earth out and leveling it out towards the wetland.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
yep,
And that's why I asked if there was going to be a wall on each side of the driveway, because you're going to be pretty level, but you're cutting in. So
Right.
that means something has to hold up the grass, or you got to slope it up. You have to, slope it up at a 4:1, something like that, to get back to existing.
he said we're only cutting in, what would you say again? We're only cutting in the thickness that we need for the driveway. We're not excavating anything else any deeper than that.
Oh, so
More sunlight.
now you're saying the driveway is going to follow the topography of the land.
Well, that's what he was saying before. Well, that's what he meant before too, but we're not.
Okay,
However-
so your driveway is gonna gradually get up
Up to
to
the,
meet where your house is, and then you're gonna put
Right.
the slab in. Okay,
yes.
Right.
that's different. All right.
Sorry.
I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. That's okay.
The least we have to remove, the better. So we're not
All
gonna.
right. By doing that, then that provides you the ability to maintain
it.
the general topography of your site without
Absolutely.
any major changes, so.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Through the-
Hello, yes, Lucia?
I just have quick questions. The deck in the back, that is an existing deck, correct?
It
Yes.
is. Yep.
All right, so the only thing you guys are proposing is this addition that is entitled proposed foundation.
Right.
All right, and the new driveway. So just listening to everyone, I did have one condition before the hearing. It would be erosion controls must be inspected before work can commence. That's a standard. I have to inspect the erosion control. So please let your contractor know that before he starts work. I'll also put it in the letter to you guys. Compost logs or straw wattles shall be used as long as all parts are photodegradable, no hay bales or plastic meshing. And then I would suggest, and this is up to you guys, because you guys asked if they were going to remove that driveway. I'm a little concerned that it's not shown on the plan. I'm actually a little shocked that Norse Environmental and Terranzoni didn't put it on here. I mean, really, this plan should show existing driveway to be removed and grassed over. And then also the conditions of the trees to be replanted. So the question is to the commission, are you guys fine with this plan? And if I mess up during the certificate of compliance, they get 2 driveways and no trees?
Well, I would like to see the plan updated to show the existing driveway, and then a note saying, that the pavement is going to be excavated, the driveway is going to be removed and loam and seed is going to be planted there. And then you can plop on the plan where you want to put the 2 trees. And, but I would take that as a contingent. In other words, I would be okay with moving forward this evening, providing that you get an updated plan. Would that be something that's possible? Just so the plan depicts the fact that an existing driveway that's being removed and then loamed and seeded, and then the 2 proposed trees.
Yes.
And then just sketch on the 2 trees that are coming down.
Yes.
And I also add that just the dimensions of the foundation just be sketched in too. This is like an open-ended foundation. I know it has to go through the building department, but just so everyone's on the same page.
It's on there. It says 30 feet, 11 by 25.
Oh,
Yeah.
25,
I'm
one and a
sorry.
half or something.
Yeah,
20, yeah.
25 and 30, yeah.
I can see it. It's kind of light, but you can.
Oh, okay. Excuse me.
So if we can just, get those things added to the plan and then get it to Lucia, we can continue tonight and we could probably finish this tonight. But would like to get an updated plan to show those features so that when you finish your job, when you come back with a certificate of compliance, that we can look and say, yep, there was a driveway, yep, now that's loamed and seeded, here's the 2 trees, and here's the other trees that are coming down.
Okay.
Okay.
Would that be okay? Is that gonna be a problem?
So the only thing with that is where the proposed driveway is where the 2 trees. So you want us to put it on top of the proposed driveway?
Yeah, you can show those 2 existing trees and just say remove,
Okay.
Okay.
so you can say, whatever it is, 14-inch deciduous and a 12-inch deciduous, whatever the tree is, and just say REM, remove.
Yep.
And then you can show the 2 new trees on the side where you want to put them,
Okay.
okay? And they
Through the
should,
chair.
and the two trees should be on the left side of your erosion controls,
Left side. Okay.
okay? And that should be.
On that note, Chairman Rizzo, about the erosion control, should we implement a no disturb zone?
Yeah, generally, if that's wetland, then we don't want anything more happening on that side of the house, such as buildings or anything. But it can be lawn, it can just be, you
It can
use
be mowed.
on it, and it's it's theirs, and it could be all lawn, but we don't want more construction
Okay.
with that side. And it looks like he's got the 30 feet, so that's about what we would ask for anyways.
Right, and any changes would have to come back to us anyways, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, is there any other questions from the commission? If there's no questions from the commission, is there anybody here in attendance that wishes to speak on this matter who may be in attendance for the meeting? A neighbor or somebody?
Please raise your hand if you would like to speak for or against this project. Oh, someone is raising their hand. That's someone who's, I'll allow him to talk. Mr. Fortuno, I have
Yeah.
promoted you, but you want to speak on this project?
Yeah, I want to speak on behalf of the project. I've been looking at the site. I'm very familiar with the site. I live in Peabody in Main Street. And it looks like, they're just basically trading off one side that's paid for another one. And, in return, things seem to balance out. So I think it's pretty good. And it doesn't disturb anything that I personally would be concerned with. So
Okay. Thank you. All right, if there's nobody else, then what's the wish of the commission? Want to make a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Second by Mike. Okay,
Sorry, do you want me to do a roll call?
please.
Motion by Travis, seconded by Mr. Comack. I'm going to do a roll call. Chairman Rizzo,
Yes?
Chairman Comack,
Yes.
Secretary Lazares,
Yes,
Commissioner Vivaldi,
Yes.
Commissioner Wojcik,
Yes.
Commissioner Athos,
Yes.
and in the absence of Commissioner Canton, Amanda has voting rights, but Rita Marie does not. So Commissioner Green. Are you a yes, Amanda?
Yes.
All right, so it is closed unanimously. So now there was talk about a change plan. I would also suggest on the revised plan, since they're going to be revising it, there's some sort of a blurb about the erosion controls or a detail. Is that something that the commission feels is necessary, or we can just condition it that way?
I would just condition it that you want,
Yeah, I have a standard. I have a standard blurb, but literally like a couple months ago, the guy, he read it and he just put down whatever he wanted. And then when I told him he couldn't put it down, he had to put an extra roll down, and I told him, you need to use something else. These are fine. And then he's just like, oh, well, I can't get them, so this is what you get. So it's just a little frustrating when people say at the meeting what they'll do and then in the real world what they do and how they treat me. So I just don't want any issues. I don't want
condition that.
fighting over details.
Why don't you condition that to what you want them to use as a erosion control?
All right, and then just hope they do it then.
Well, it's going to be a condition. So if they don't do it, they don't meet the condition, then they'll be in violation.
I have one. I'll talk about that later. Then I'll email you, because I have someone in violation right now, and they basically were like, "I don't care." Like, so.
Well,
it's a
through the chair, can the proponents put that condition on the blueprint?
Yeah.
As well as where the trees are, so there's no question for the contractor.
Lucia, what is it you want them to use?
Anything but hay bales. And I plaster it all over the order of conditions, and I still have multi-million contractors just doing whatever they want, and they just think, they're just like, what, you're just a little girl. And I don't think it's going to be a problem here, but I'm just trying to
Not going to.
I'm
It would
just
not be a problem.
future for everyone. It's not fair. Like, I don't think they need to put it on the plan. If the contractor, if he was at the meeting and I could talk to him, it would be nice. But, contractors are also working on like 5 jobs at a time. So they don't, you know, he's not going to remember what I say in this meeting and then 2 jobs later. But I mean, it's not really a huge deal if we have hay bales. It's just invasive seeds, and it's not worth it.
No,
Through
we
the
don't need,
chair,
we don't
through the
need hay bales. We
through the
don't want
chair.
hay bales. We're making this more difficult than it is. Just pick something.
I've already said it. I already have my condition. I read it. Erosion controls must be inspected before work can commence. Compost, logs, or straw wattles shall be used as long as all parts are photodegradable.
Here we
No
go.
hay bales or plastic
That's
meshing
it.
allowed.
All right, that's the condition.
That's it. Yep. Thank you.
Okay,
That's one of the conditions, right?
yeah, that's one of them.
Yeah.
So then we're gonna have we're gonna get an updated, Lucia's gonna tell us what conditions we're gonna have in addition to that, but we'll have the standard conditions plus the updated plan that'll show the existing driveway to be removed and loamed and seeded, and the 2 trees labeled to be removed, and 2 trees to be planted where you want them on the right side. And make sure they're on the left side of those erosion controls.
Yeah.
And then whatever the conditions are, we should, the standard.
Yep, so standard 1 through 50, and then adding the erosion control condition. And all I was just trying to say is it doesn't matter what I put in the order because people don't listen to it. And that's not for this couple to deal with. It's just a frustration on my part. And then the second condition would be that the existing driveway on the left must be removed and loamed and seeded before a final certificate of compliance. And 53 would be 2 trees to be replanted. And then just a reminder, asking for an updated plan showing the driveway to be removed, the trees to be removed, and the trees to be planted.
Yes.
And do you guys have a species of trees that you want them to plant, or?
We haven't decided yet.
Well, no, it's not.
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant us. Sorry.
Lucia, if you could forward them the planting list from the forestry service, that would be useful, I think.
Yep, I can do that. We
Great,
do
thank you.
have a list of approved plants, and it'll tell you like what soil types, how much sun the plants like, how tall they get, what their canopy is. So that way you can decide, you know, you probably aren't going to want to put a tree that gets really big next to your new addition because you're just going to be cutting it down soon.
Thank you.
Okay, motion to issue an order of conditions.
So moved.
Subject to what we just talked about,
I'd second that.
and we have a second.
Yep, so the motion was made for a revised plan. So this is going to be held until I get a revised plan. I'm not even going to draft the order of conditions. And then it would be a standard order of conditions 1 through 50, adding 51, the erosion control condition, 52, the driveway condition, and 53, the tree condition, made by Travis, seconded by author. I'm going to do a roll call. Chairman Rizzo,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Comack,
Yes.
Secretary Lazaris,
Yes,
Commissioner Vivaldi,
Yes.
Commissioner Wojak,
Yes.
Commissioner Athos,
Yes.
Commissioner Green.
Yes.
All right, it passes unanimous.
Very good. Well, congratulations, folks. Enjoy and hope everything goes well.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you for coming. Tara, thank you for manning the phone with the contractor too.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you.
Okay, all right, item number 2 is a notice of intent submitted by Bill Manuel, Wetland Land Management, for Regency Realty Trust. Alfred Camambro, trustee. The proposed project is the construction of 2 buildings and site improvements, paving, utilities, etc. on the riverfront to North River. Property is known as 11-13 Waller Street, map 85, lot 41, city of Peabody. We have a note from Lucia that the consultant sent an email requesting a continuance. So we're waiting for, is that, what is Bill?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, yes, we have previously asked for a continuance on this matter, so I don't have any discussion this evening.
Okay. Very good. Then we'll continue this to our next meeting.
Yes, please.
June 16th. And I just want to say if anyone's in the audience that is interested in 11 to 13 Wallace Street NOI, it will be heard again on June 16th. And we are planning on still doing it via Zoom as far as I know.
Very good. Okay, thank you. Item number 3 on the agenda is a request for determination of applicability to continue public hearing on a request for determination of applicability submitted by Bill Manuel, Wetlands and Land Management.
Did you guys make a motion?
Oh,
I will make a motion to continue this agenda item until June 16th.
I'll second it.
All right, and I got to do a roll call. Chairman Rizzo,
yes.
Vice Chairman Comack,
Yes.
Secretary Lazares,
Yes.
Commissioner Vivaldi,
Yes.
Commissioner Wojcik,
Yes.
Commissioner Athos,
Yes.
Commissioner Green.
Yes.
All right, sorry, it has passed. It's continued until June 16th.
All right, sorry about that. Okay, so item number 3 is under request for determination of applicability. Continue public hearing on request for determination of applicability submitted by Bill Manuel for Wetlands and Land Management, Inc. The applicant seeking confirmation that there are no areas of jurisdictional or buffer zone extending on the property. The property is known as Race Drive, unconstructed way, map 57, lot 74B, through MOP in the city of Peabody.
All right, so Bill Manuel speaking from Wetlands and Land Management. Lucia, can I share my screen?
I just made it so you could, so I think so.
All right, let's try this here. Okay. So I filed this request for determination for property. We've called it Race Drive. It actually apparently was a approved subdivision, and there are multiple lots carved out of this particular piece of property. It's off of Winona Street here. There's a narrow entrance off Winona Street. Route 1 would be more or less, towards the bottom of this plan here. The Honeydew Donut Shop would be kind of in this direction, and the Oriental Restaurant, I forget what the name is, would be, off of Route 1 over in this direction here. Corral Road would come in off of this side of the project here. This is known as 18 Corral Road, and there was an order of conditions issued to install a house here, but that has since expired. I've filed this request for determination to verify before we get into significant engineering and land planning, to verify that there is no wetlands on the site and that there are no wetlands within 100 feet of the perimeter of the site that would have would cause jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission on this property. Normally, it's kind of unusual when you get a piece like this size that there are no wetlands on it, but when I pop up an aerial photo, you'll see why. I think many on the commission are familiar with this site because it has come before the commission at least once that I'm aware of, where you determined there were certain areas that were non-significant. That was circa 2006. But as I said, normally if there were wetlands, we would have filed an ANRAD. We would have flagged the wetlands and filed an ANRAD to verify the limits of the wetlands, which would then fix the limits of the buffer zone. Since there are no wetlands on or near the property, we filed a request for determination seeking a negative determination that that the property is not subject to the jurisdiction of the Wetlands Protection Act and your Peabody Wetlands and Rivers Protection regulations. So let me just pop up a plan. This is the existing conditions plan as it is today, but let me give you an aerial overview. This is what it looks like. Winona Street is over here. That heads up to Route 1. Here is Route 1. This is Honeydew. I think this is the Asian restaurant. This is Corral Road here. And I've outlined more or less the limits of the property in red here. And you can see that it's a moonscape, and it has been a moonscape for over 10 years. If you go back on, say, Google Earth, and you can go back in time, it's been a moonscape for at least 10 years. So what I've done is given you information in this request for determination that I've given you a USGS sheet to show you that there are no perennial streams indicated on the USGS map. So there's obviously no riverfront. I've given you the FEMA flood map for this area, and that documents that there are no areas subject to flooding. A walk of the site will easily show you that there are no vegetated wetlands on the site. I took careful note around the perimeter of the property to make sure that there were no wetlands in the backyards of Carrigan, of the houses that front on Carrigan Road or Carrigan Way along this side. This is a sedimentation basin that was constructed apparently after there was some significant erosion and runoff issues. This sedimentation basin overflows, and there's a second basin here and a third basin here. So obviously constructed sedimentation basins are not jurisdictional. The nearest wetlands to the site happen to occur in this area here off of Corral Road. And the commission actually issued an ORAD for that wetland boundary, and that was circa 2006. And so obviously that ORAD has expired, but I did get permission from this property owner to go back on this property and to reflag the wetlands. Lucia and I did take a walk on Monday, and we walked in here from Corral Road. We kind of glanced over the banking to see where my wetland flags were. It's very obvious that they're well over 100 feet away from this southwest property corner here. And then the last remaining area was this area here between the site and the Huntington Woods, multi-unit residential housing project. And I submitted some supplemental information that shows photo documentation taken from this corner of the property line's marked. And you can look through the woods and see actually the back of this unit. And you can see that there is no any wetlands or water bodies. I took additional documentation from about here, looking in the direction of this building here. So I have photo documentation for the interior of this area here that shows there are no wetlands. It was a strong upland community consisting of mostly white pine, some red oak, staghorn sumac. In the herbaceous layer was garlic mustard. There was multiflora rose in the shrub layer. Lucia and I were able to walk to this point here and see in. We got up on this pile of soil here and looked down in, and we were again at this property corner and looked across. And I think that would give you a fairly good vantage point to be able to document that there are no wetlands in this area that would have a buffer zone extending onto the property. So let me just walk you through what I've submitted. This is the USGS map. Obviously no streams indicated on this map, so no riverfront area. This is Mass GIS, and these two green spots still show up on Mass GIS, even though you can see they're overlaid on the an orthophoto, and you can see it's nothing but the gravel pit. And these two areas, I'll show you a slide in a few seconds. These two areas were areas that the commission determined in their, they issued a notice of non-significance circa 2006, that these areas were not significant. They have been subsequently filled in. So these areas do not exist. This is the FEMA Fermet flood map. Here we are again. The area is not within an area that's indicated as a zone A, land subject to flooding. And well, we have the web soil survey, which maps the area as unit number 651, which is basically, it's called Udorthence, which is areas of disturbed land lacking topsoil. This is the parcel, and obviously there's no wetlands on that. And then I just want to scroll down. I'll show you. You did issue an order of resource area delineation in 2006. And more or less, I believe at the same meeting, you issued a notice of non-significance. These are recorded at the Registry of Deeds. And I'll show you that plan that accompanied the ORAD and the notice of non-significance. And it's, there were 4 areas, and you can see this area and this area, even the shapes coincide very closely with what was shown on the Mass GIS, but you issued a notice of non-significance for 4 areas on, really 3 on the subject parcel. This is the subject parcel. This part is no longer part of the area that I'm asking for a negative determination. So I've given you ample documentation. I was.
Bill, sorry
Yes.
to stop you, but Chairman Rizzo just got kicked off. Can you just hold on 1 second while we figure this out?
Of course I can.
Do we have any idea what's going on, Lucia?
I'm on the phone with him. It seems that his internet might have went down.
Okay. I guess we'll wait a little longer.
Hey, Jim, I don't know if you want to pause this on YouTube and Facebook or not. We're having some issues over on our end. I'm just trying to help him through this and figure it out.
Could Mike use his cell phone to dial in? Or?
Bill Manuel. I don't see the graphic anymore. I was pretty much done with my presentation. I was wrapping it up with the notice of non-significance for these 4 different wetland areas that the commission had approved in 2006. And the reason I put that in there, I'm just going to scroll back quickly to this Mass GIS. Just in case someone were to look on Mass GIS and it indicates, hey, there are some wetlands here, and you might think that there was a violation, but because of the notice of non-significance finding, those were filled in, probably more than 10 years ago. So there was no violation with respect to these areas that are indicated as wetland.
We had some, way back then, we had some, not concerns, but we had talked about those. Is this where there was some isolated wetlands that we had noted that this may be, because of our wetland bylaw, could be considered significant? But I don't know if it was ever determined that.
You apparently did determine that. This is the notice of non-significance that was issued and was recorded along with the plan that showed, and let me just scroll down to this, and there you are, Chairman. Well, I don't know if you were chairman back then. Michael Rizzo is the only one I can recognize on there, but
yeah,
this, bear with me. Here was the plan, and yes, there were 4 areas that really encompassed. This was one larger parcel at the time, but there were 4 areas that you had determined that were non-significant.
okay.
Yep. So this is the site plan. Again, Winona Street, Corral Road over here. Lucia and I walked to this point, got back in our vehicles. We drove around and parked here and then walked basically around this sedimentation basin up through the site like this, over to this corner here, up onto this fill pile. So we had vantage point of the entire site. And as I said, this is what it looks like. There's clearly no wetlands on the parcel. I think we adequately evaluated within 100 feet of this property line to be comfortable to say that there are no wetlands in this area, and that therefore there's no buffer zone that extends onto the property. So that's the extent of my presentation, and we're looking for, as I said, a negative determination that would state that the site does not have areas subject to jurisdiction.
Okay.
Through the chair,
Mm-hmm.
was there any evidence of any sort of, maybe not wetland, but any water running or vernal pools even over by the wooded area on the south side?
I'm going to show you. I did submit photographs, and let me just get back to the site plan. I have photographs from this vantage point looking straight across, and you can see the back of the buildings at Huntington Woods. Again, I have photographs that sort of shot across this way to a second building. And so the documentation I've shown in this area is no, there's nothing over there.
Okay, thank you.
You said you had photographs. We don't have those photographs, do we?
They were submitted to, oh, I know what I have to do. There you go.
Hey, I'm back on.
All right, I'll wait a second.
I'm gonna kill my phone. All right. Okay. All right. Here we go. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right.
Loud and clear.
All right. Sorry. Somehow I'm back now. I don't know what happened, but
So here are those photographs I was speaking of. I'm standing at the southeast property corner here, and this grayness in the back of the photo, that's about 150 feet away, and that is the back of a building at Huntington Woods. You can see that the vegetation here is oak pine. There's nothing.
Bill, I don't think we actually see the photo.
We're not seeing
Really?
any photos. Want to put
All
them
right,
on the
so I wonder how I would do that.
They are on the OneDrive. I mean, do you want to let me share the screen and I can put those back on?
All right, I'll stop sharing, Lucia.
Sure. And just bear with me.
Would be under the Huntington Woods letter.
I guess I didn't upload it yet.
No, right, Huntington Woods letter. Right below your cursor, right there.
This is it. Okay. At first, I thought it was like dated later for some reason. Okay.
Okay. And so that first photo there is looking through that wooded section to the building at Huntington Woods. If you could scroll down to the next slide, Lucia. Again, the grayness at the center of the photo in the back is the back of the building, oak pine. Another vantage point, I've now shifted the camera, walked in more towards the right. And if you could scroll down one more. I'm looking at the second closest building in Huntington Woods, and you can see sumac. There was multiflora rose in there. And then finally, the last picture, Lucia. Again, the building is right in the background there. The forest or the opening is all garlic mustard, a massing of multiflora rose on the left side, and a black cherry. That branch extending in from the right is black cherry. So no water body over there. So I'm confident that there's nothing over there.
Yeah, all species of flora that are indicative of drier areas.
As I would call it, strong upland indicators.
Great, thank you.
Through the chair, can sometimes I've seen multiflora along riverfronts though. I mean, so they do sometimes thrive in wetter areas.
Looking, well, I've already documented that there are no rivers there, but looking at the community it was associated with, it was, garlic mustard, which is FAC up. Multiflora rose is rated as a facultative upland plant. The black cherry was the next easiest thing to identify in that photo. That is also facultative upland. So it was a very strongly indicative of an upland plant community. So as I said, I'm looking for a negative determination based on all the documentation that I provided. And if anybody has had the opportunity to walk out there, it's pretty clear that there's certainly nothing on the site. There's basically nothing left on the site. And it's been that way for a significant period of time.
So what do we make a motion on that? We agree with the negative determination or?
That is what I'm asking, yes.
Yeah,
I think it would more be that there are no wetlands on the property. There are no buffer zones on the property from abutting parcels. So the Corral Road wetlands, which I believe there's actually a vernal pool over on Corral Road as well. But that would have a 200-foot buffer around it. But I still think that would be far enough away, although it's not shown on the plan. So basically the question is, has the wetland scientist satisfied the commission with the Huntington Woods wetlands? Because those would be the only wetlands that would have some sort of a buffer extending onto this site.
okay.
So I would say it would be up to the commission to decide if the applicant has submitted enough evidence that a wetland does not exist on Huntington Woods and therefore a buffer zone does not extend onto Race Drive. I am in agreement that the Corral Road wetlands buffer zone does not extend onto Race Drive. I am also in agreement that the notice of non-significance obviously exists. And back in 2006, the commission did state that those wetlands were not significant, and that's why it is filled in and it looks the way it does. The only thing that I can't say for certain, and would be up to the commission once again to decide if the applicant has submitted enough evidence to the commission that there are no wetlands on the abutting Huntington Woods property. We did not have access to that site, so it's up to you guys what your determination is.
And I just point out on Monday, we did go to the edge of the property from 3 different vantage points. All I needed was a determination that you don't see wetlands within 100 feet. And from my opinion, and based on the photographs that I've given you, and I've provided those because that's what Lucia had requested, that I provide some additional documentation on that Huntington Woods property. So I did provide that last week. And so I thought, based on our site visit and the documentation, that it's pretty clear that there's nothing over there. And frankly, the only reason why I think, I don't want to put words into Lucia's mouth, but the mass or the Peabody GIS showed a blue dot over there basically in the middle between the 2 closest buildings. And that's why she asked for additional documentation. And it's something in error, just like the non-significant wetlands that haven't existed for over 10 years still show up on the mass GIS. There's nothing over there, and it is GIS. It's a planning tool and not on the ground documentation like I've provided.
Okay.
That being said, I would like to make a motion to issue a negative determination.
Actually has to be open to members of the public first.
Right. Say, anybody
That
else-
would be useful.
Any other commission have any questions?
One quick question,
Arthur?
the owners of the Huntington property, were they aware of this meeting? They've been notified there was a meeting?
All abutters were notified according to the Peabody Assessor's Office list.
Okay.
Bruce, you familiar with the area?
I'm looking, so it looks like if Foxwood Circle is Huntington Woods, it looks like all the unit owners were notified. I don't think like they have to notify the it looks like tons of people on Foxwood Circle. I just don't know if the condominium association was notified. But we did not have access to Huntington Woods. I think that was just that was my only gripe with this, was that we didn't have permission to go on Huntington Woods property. So I actually was never physically on the ground at Huntington Woods. I can't go onto property if I don't have explicit permission from whoever the property owner is. I'm sure we could have walked over, but I've had people call the cops on me before. And I just I didn't feel that I should have to go onto the property without.
All right, well, butters were notified then. Do you need, are there people there to want to speak on this?
No one is raising their hands. I'm sure that, you know, they probably already know that the work's going on over there, so. So there's no one in the audience. So if you guys want to continue chatting amongst yourself and or close it and make a motion. But if you were going to make the motion, I would make it the way that it would be a negative determination, agreeing that the notice of non-significance is correct, agreeing that the Corral Road wetlands buffer zone does not extend onto Race Drive, and also agreeing that the Huntington Woods property wetlands do not exist, therefore there is no buffer zone.
Okay,
And this would be valid for 3 years. So if you say those wetlands don't exist, they don't exist for 3 years.
all right, well, somebody want to make a motion on that?
I would like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
This is Bill Manuel. The only thing I just like to really button things up, also include in that motion that there are no wetlands on the property, and list the resource areas as well. There's no riverfront, there's no bordering land subject to flooding as well.
Okay, I concur with that.
And there, I did just make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second it.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay, all in favor?
Chairman Rizzo,
Yes?
Vice Chairman Comack. I'm doing a roll call, guys. I have to by law until we meet in person again. Vice Chairman Comack. Secretary Lazaris,
Yes,
Commissioner Vivaldi,
Yes.
Commissioner Wojcik,
Yes.
Commissioner Athos,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
all right, and in the absence of Bruce, I'm not sure what's going on, but Rita Marie, you can vote if you want to. So Commissioner Cavicchio?
Yes.
All right, so it closes with no Bruce, but it is, so it's not adopted unanimously. It is 8-1 with no vote from Bruce. And now the motion would be for the negative determination.
Who wants to take a stab at making that motion?
I will. I would like to make a motion to issue a negative determination that there are no wetlands on the property site, on the proponent site, that there are the adjacent wetlands on Carroll Road are off or 100 feet away, and that there is no wetland in Huntington Woods, if that's correct.
That's up to you guys.
I see everyone nodding their head, so I'll go with that.
Also, don't forget to mention the bordering land subject to flooding in the riverfront area.
Yes, and that there are no bordering land subject to flooding or riverfront area within 200 feet.
I will second.
Okay,
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do a roll call. Chairman Rizzo,
yes?
Secretary Lazares,
Yes.
Commissioner Vivaldi,
Yes.
Commissioner Wojcik,
Yes.
Commissioner Athos,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Cavicchio.
Yes.
All right, it passes 8-1 with Bruce not voting.
Bruce is in attendance.
I think he might have fallen asleep. I'm not sure. I didn't want to say anything, but I don't know what's going on. I'm just gonna turn his camera off.
Thank you, commission members.
So you don't ever have to return to us for this project.
Sorry for the delay. Okay, our next item on the agenda is item number 4. It's a public hearing on a request for determination of applicability submitted by Keith Morris for environmental consultants for Pan Am Railroad, Inc., Bill Wallace. The applicant is seeking confirmation on wetland boundaries, sensitive areas. This application is for verification of wetland boundaries only and not for actual application of herbicides. Prior to application, a yearly operation plan will be submitted to the community, and there is a 45-day review and a comment period. Property is known as ROW, map on file in the city of Peabody.
Oh, they are asking for a continuance, I believe, because their legal team never got back to me. So they're used to filing RDAs with towns that do not have local ordinances. And our local ordinance, actually, for an RDA, you have to notify abutters. Now, where this got into the weeds is this is not a maintenance RDA. This is an RDA. It's exactly what we just did with Bill. This is a wetlands RDA, trying to decide what the wetlands are. So I kept telling them that if you are not falling under section 32.7 utilities of our local ordinance, chapter 32, that would be the only way that they could be exempt from notifying abutters. I asked him for about a month that he needed to get me something from his legal team. He could not. And so we can't technically have a public hearing if they don't notify abutters. And the onus was on him to tell me. I'm under the assumption he has to notify abutters until someone of legal authority tells me otherwise and explicitly points out the reasons, and they have not done that. So they are asking for a continuance.
Okay. Well, let's move on that.
So move.
Make a motion to continue to the June meeting.
We will continue this to our next meeting. Take a roll call on that. We got a second?
I'll
Do
second.
we have to make a motion on this?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, because it was posted in the agenda.
Yep. Well, I ran a legal ad and he just
Okay.
never notified abutters. So it's technically a public hearing
I
as
was
far
gonna
as
say it's
I'm concerned.
somewhere in between the two. Okay, got it. Thank you. I'll
So
second that motion.
all right. So it was Amanda, Travis, no Stu.
I thought I seconded it, but it's okay.
All
You
right.
can second it.
I already put Travis down. I'm going to go ahead and do a roll call. Chairman Rizzo,
Yes.
Secretary Lazares,
Yes.
Commissioner Vivaldi,
Yes.
Commissioner Wojcik,
Yes.
Commissioner Athos,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Cavicchio.
Yes.
All right, so it has passed once again, 8-1. No Bruce. Continued until June 16th.
Okay. Okay, next item on the agenda is under certificates of compliance. It's a continued request for a full certificate of compliance as made by Peter Glasdell Jr., Williams.
Wait, I think you missed an extension. Number 5.
Whoop. Yes, okay. Under extensions, there is a request for an extension permit on DP file number 55-829. The request is being made by Kara Solowski for Solitude Lake Management for Cedar Pond Village. Project is an aquatic management program. The address is known as Cedar Pond Village, condominium 1200 Salem Street, map 98, lot 500T, 500 to 754, in Peabody and Linfield. The order expires on May 12th, 2021. The applicant is asking for 1-year extension per local ordinance. All permits are told during this event.
Hi, folks. I'm Dominic Maringolo here from Solitude Lake Management, here on behalf of the Cedar Pond condominiums. We've been carrying out a successful pond management program there since 2016, which consists of twice monthly monitoring visits during the months of April through September. We evaluate the weeds and algae on the ponds, and we on average do about 2 treatments a year on the ponds to keep the weeds and algae under control. It's been a very successful program, but we are asking for your permission to continue the program for another year. So if anybody has any questions about the program, I'd be happy to answer those now.
No, I think we're familiar with this. You've been coming back, for all these years, doing a good job out there. So, any of the commissions want to speak on this matter? We could just vote to extend the 1 year.
I have one question through the chair. What are the chemicals you're using for the herbicide and the algicide?
So we had a number of products in the original notice of intent, but we've been generally using a herbicide called diquat and a copper-based algicides to manage the plants and algae.
And are the plants and algae all dead or just controlled?
We're not looking to turn the ponds into swimming pools, so we just really we take action when there's an overabundance of weeds and algae. We like to see some growth in there, obviously a good balance of growth for the wet wildlife and fish habitat, but heavy dense growth covering the pond is detrimental. So we try to, by visiting the ponds twice a month, we can keep an eye on them. When it starts to get overgrown, we typically do a very light treatment with the products to bring the populations back down to a more balanced state. So, but the ponds are very shallow and they're man-made, so they basically need to be managed. If they weren't managed, they basically would be covered with weeds and algae for the entire summer. It would be certainly detrimental to the habitat, water quality, would be prime mosquito habitat, lots of really adverse effects there. So I think that the program's been pretty successful to try to manage the ponds in an environmentally safe manner.
Just out of curiosity, when was the last time you visited the pond?
Personally,
yeah.
I really haven't visited the pond since back in 2016. Yeah, but we have.
The reason I'm asking is because I just visited Crystal Lake and Elginwood Pond today, and they are basically covered with either plants or a huge coating of slimy algae, and they're shallow also, or at least Elginwood Pond is shallow. So I'm just offering that you should take a look at it and fix it.
Oh no, absolutely. We're going there twice a month, so certainly track down the person that's been going out there and see what's going on with that. But they should be we start looking at the pond in the beginning of April. So, and again, we go twice a month. So
I mean, it's just that this summer's been a little strange. Everything in my property is growing like crazy. So
yeah, it seems like the last 2 or 3 weeks, everything's kind of taken off. So that could be the case. Algae can pop up very quickly. So it may be that it was just starting a couple weeks ago, and we decided not to treat, but we may have to maybe have to do that.
well, as you can look at it and take a look and take care of it.
Yeah, thanks for letting me know. Though I appreciate that.
I don't have any. I have nothing to say against giving them the 1-year extension.
Okay. Lucia, if we extend this 1 year, is the tolling period, make that 2 years or something, or is it just?
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say, because they actually did extend it before it expired, so they kind of gypped themselves on that tolling period. And what we've been doing and what I was told to do from some legal authorities was you guys can extend it 1 year under our local ordinance, because we only allow 1 year. The DEP does allow 3. And then I would tack on the tolling period, even though the state of emergency is ending in Massachusetts June 15th. The tolling period is actually tied to some other legislation, and that has not stopped yet. So at this point, I would say he would get 1 year plus 15 months, because we have been in the state of emergency for 15 months. So basically 2 years and 3 months. So whatever that is. Whatever, someone else do the math, please.
The 2 years, that would be 1 year plus 15 months from May 12th?
Yep.
Okay, so that'd be May, June, July, August. So that'll be August of 2022.
23, right?
23.
And that would still fall in line, even if we got that number wrong. If my legal my legal advice was incorrect, it would still be legal under. It wouldn't be legal under the city ordinance unless you guys voted on it. Otherwise, they still could get 3 years under Mass DEP for the extension. And I feel like something like this, where it's pretty much an ecological restoration, it's kind of like, why do we have to keep making them come back for an extension if, we're just going to give it to them? So you guys, Dominic, would you be fine with it getting extended to August 2023?
That sounds perfectly fine to me. Yeah, no issue.
Okay. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to extend the permit to August 12th of 2023.
Second.
So moved.
Okay. Second by Mike.
All right, so did Travis make the motion? Who made the motion?
I did.
Stu did.
Okay, sorry.
Stuart.
All right, so the motion to extend made by Stu, seconded by Mr. Vivaldi. Motion to extend until 8/12/2023 per the tolling. Chairman Rizzo.
That's August 12th of 2023, right?
Okay, yep, and now I'm gonna do a roll call. So August 12th, 2023, Chairman Rizzo,
Yes.
Secretary Lazaris,
Yes.
Commissioner Vivaldi,
Yes.
Commissioner Wojcik,
Yes.
Commissioner Athos,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Cavicchio.
Yes.
All right, so the item passes 8-1 with no Bruce not voting.
Okay.
There she is.
Great. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too. Next item on the agenda is under certificates of compliance. The continued request for a full certificate of compliance is made by Peter Blasdale Jr., Williams and Asparagus, on behalf of AM Concorp, Patrick Coburn, for DEP file number 55-865. The project was the construction of a commercial building and parking area including demo, rebuild, stormwater features, and parking. The address is known as 3 Mount Pleasant Street in the city of Peabody, map 29, lot 6. I have a note that the consultant has requested a continuance until June 16th.
So moved.
Seconded.
All right, I'm gonna do a roll call. Chairman Rizzo,
Yes,
Secretary Lazaris,
Yes.
Commissioner Vivaldi, Commissioner Wojcik,
Yes.
Commissioner Athos,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Cavicchio.
Yes.
All right, so it passes 7-2 with no Vivaldi or Comac voting. So this is gonna be tough for me to figure out who to put on all, this is gonna be fun. Each one of these
now we
is
gotta move this along. We're running out of people.
all right, but it still does pass. It's just gonna be difficult when I do the actual paperwork because you guys aren't physically signing it. Anyway, all right.
Okay. Item number 7 on the agenda is a continued request for a full certificate of compliance as made by Frederick Ostrup from Neptune Engineering on behalf of 160 Main Street Realty LLC, Nikolai Polanovsky, for DP file number 55-793. Project was a development for a previously degraded site for commercial and residential use. The address is known as 166 Main Street, map 86, lot 150B, in the city of Peabody.
So this was continued until June. Last year, you guys continued it till June. I am going to be putting him on the June agenda, and I am going to make him come and give an update. I have been chasing him down for the last month. He keeps telling me he hired someone, and every time I ask for an update, I get no update. So I'm starting to get a little frustrated with him. So he will be at the June 16th meeting, and we don't need to make a motion because you guys already continued it to June anyway.
Very good. Thank you. Okay, then let's move right along. Item number 8 is a continued request for a full certificate of compliance as made by E.J. O'Sullivan, Haven Contracting Corp. for DP file number 55-874. The project was the construction of a new parking area in the detention basin. The address is known as 22 Johnson Street, map 34, lot 12, in the city of Peabody. Okay. So,
They too have asked for a continuance. I got a call today from Michael. I cannot remember his last name. I want to say Moscow, but that might not be his last name. It might be something else. He did ask for a continuance until June 16th as well. Chris Mello has not revised the as-built plan per Will Pollitt's request. So the 5-3, the May 3rd memo from Will Pollitt still stands. And at this point, DPS is not signing off. The applicant is aware of that, and they are working diligently to hopefully get paperwork in time for the June meeting. So I guess we just need a motion to continue.
okay,
So moved.
I'll second it.
Okay.
okay,
All right, Sue Travis, I'm gonna do a roll call. Chairman Rizzo,
yes,
Secretary Lazaris,
Yes.
Commissioner Vivaldi,
Yes.
Commissioner Wojcik,
Yes.
Commissioner Athos,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
and Commissioner Cavicchio.
Yes.
All right, so it passes 8-1, still no Bruce.
okay. All right, item 9 on the agenda is under order of violations. The enforcement order issued to Daniel Ruiz for the property known as 44 Bartholomew Street, Peabody, Mass. The violation is bringing multiple truckloads of fill onto the site. Buffer zone and resource area was altered. The valid order condition was never issued. Continued until 2021 when vegetation is grown in to be determined.
Commissioner Rizzo, this is Bill Manuel from Wetlands and Land Management. I've been communicating with Lucia. We have continued this since last fall in order to allow the buffer zone grass to continue to thicken up and fill in. And also for me to get another springtime assessment of how the seed mix in the wetland area is responding and growing. So we were really just kind of, getting into the 2021 growing season. I think I will be in the neighborhood in the coming few days, so I'll swing by and maybe at the June meeting, it would be appropriate for me to report that it's all good, but we'll have to just take it month by month.
Okay, let's plan on that. So motion to continue to our next meeting, June
So moved.
2nd. Somebody?
Seconded.
Mike seconded.
No, Amanda, but honestly, I don't even think you guys need a motion. I'm not even gonna do a roll call because the way you guys worded it was continued until 2020 when vegetation has grown in. And as Bill just said, we're waiting for a good time for him to go out and check it out and then come back so that they can just close it out, hopefully one and done.
Okay. We need a roll call then or not?
I don't think so because the way it was motioned last fall it was sort of an undetermined. So if you want me to do the roll call, I definitely will. I just know I sort of annoy people when I do it.
No, you don't have to. That's fine then. All right. Well, thanks, Bill.
I don't get annoyed.
Thank you.
All right. So then moving forward, item number 10 is an enforcement order issued to the trustees of 55 Pulaski Street Realty Trust, Roadhouse Pub, care of John Kelty, legal counsel of said trustees for property located at 55 Pulaski Street. The extent of activity is uncertain at this time. However, some possible alleged activity is altering, filling, and changing the grade of either buffer zone or actual resource to expand a current parking lot or buildable area of the Roadhouse Pub property. Possible trespassing on the abutting lot and destruction of living trees and vegetation. A valid wetland permit has not been issued to date for any such work.
Okay, Chairman Rizzo, this is Bill Manuel from Wetlands and Land Management speaking again. Recall last month I had reported to you that in short, the activity that has gone on out there was some earth brought to the site and pushed over the existing edge of the parking area. But that work occurred outside of buffer zone. I know that because I had flagged the nearest wetland areas in 2015 and they were survey located. I reported to you that I investigated the presence of a feature identified as a brook/ditch on a plan from 1989. There may have been the remnants of something from my site visit in 2021 that might have been picked up and identified as some feature to be put on a plan. It certainly was not a brook or a ditch. It does not emanate from a culvert or a pipe or anything like that, and it does not flow towards anything, and it's certainly unrecognizable after about 10 to 15 feet. You had asked me at the conclusion of the last meeting to document my findings in a letter, and I've done that, and I've submitted that to the commission dated May 11th, 2021, which just puts into writing my findings that the work that has occurred out there is not in any jurisdiction of the State Wetlands Protection Act or the Peabody Wetlands and Rivers regulations. And furthermore, I just want the commission to know that I directed the owner to install some erosion controls just as good practice. And he has installed a mulch sock along the toe of the current fill slope and has staked that in. So it is the edge of the fill has been secured. It remains about 140 feet or away from wetlands, probably 40 feet outside the buffer zone. So we're asking that, we're documenting that the work didn't occur in your jurisdiction, and we're asking that the enforcement order that was issued to be rescinded.
Okay, Lucia, you have any comments on that?
I have no problem with that. If you guys want to withdraw the enforcement order, it's music
Okay.
to my ears.
Anybody on the commission who
I'll
wants
make a motion to rescind the enforcement order.
second?
I have a question. Bill, did you say that you submitted the documentation on the 11th of May?
A letter dated May 11th, 2021.
Because
I don't believe we've seen it. Have we, Lucia?
Yeah, we got it. I'm looking at it right now. I read it earlier today.
It came in a OneDrive?
Yeah.
Okay. It just seems like it was short notice. I'll second it.
Okay,
I'm gonna do a roll call. Chairman Rizzo,
yes,
Secretary Lazares,
Yes.
Commissioner Vivaldi,
Yes.
Commissioner Wojcik.
Am I allowed to vote on this? Because I wasn't here at the original meeting.
It's an enforcement, so you can, I think, but
Okay.
that might all be straightened out next week. If you guys can go to the city council meeting, you should. But
Awesome.
if you don't want to, no, you don't. You can.
I'll vote to rescind this.
All right. Commissioner Athos,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
and Commissioner Cavicchio.
Yes.
All right, so it is withdrawn, 8-1 with no Bruce.
All right, thank you very much.
With the understanding that the applicant will be a better resident of the community, right?
He has been educated, yes.
Thank you, Bill.
very good. Thank you, Bill.
All right, good night.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks, Jack.
Okay, okay, other and discussion items. Stu. Secretary updates on CPC.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Stu Lazarus to speak on secretary updates on CPC filing PB Lakes and Ponds.
Okay, Lucia and I went to the last Community Preservation Commission meeting, and we got approval for $150,000 to start the project to clear the lakes and ponds. This is Elginwood Pond and Mill Pond. The current plan is to start attacking the lakes aggressively with herbicides and kill off all the vegetation, and then come in and hydro rake and pull up the roots and get rid of them. I've found a place to put this stuff to dewater. It's behind the church on Taylor and the Jordan. It's right next to it's across the street from the Kiley School.
Yeah.
If you go in that direction behind the church, there's a huge gravel pit down there. And I believe the gravel was taken out years ago to use for construction of the Logan Airport runway. And that place, if it's a gravel pit, it's perfectly good for dewatering. And it's a very deep pit, so I don't think there'll be any odors or anything coming out of there. I'm waiting for Bill Stansfield to confirm that. And we're still moving forward.
Excellent.
Through the chair.
Yes.
Stu, I just want to thank you and Lucia as well for all this work, because this is probably one of the quieter stories in Peabody, but one of the bigger stories as well.
There's an even quieter one and bigger one going on, if you want to hear it now.
Of course.
I'm working on a project aside from Concom to get the city to clear all the rivers and streams of plants. and widen them and get rid of all the vegetation that causes all the choke points that cause the flooding that neighbors that are abutting these rivers continually get. And then it'll be a matter of city maintaining it. There was a program years ago to do it using mosquito control people, and they did it, and then the city never kept it up. So we see all these plants now choking the rivers and causing all kinds of issues. So that's being resurrected.
Excellent.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, it's like part of our job really is, commissioners to get involved in this stuff. Actually, I got a hold of the mayor, who got a hold of Captain Lewis from the fire department. And yesterday we dragged a drone from the fire department out and flew it down Goldwaith Brook. We've got movies and photographs coming, so we can then show people where the choke points are and they can get looking at it and doing something. And again, it's a long-term process, but I'm working on it.
Stuart, that's great. Can you forward those movies, the drone videos?
Once I get them, I will forward them to everybody in the commission. And then the thing that's going to happen, I need more help in, and this is, it's not the Conservation Commission, it's the City Council, which is why I'm addressing it to John Turco. We need people to participate in this activity, and much like we're doing with potholes and storm drains, perhaps put a button on a website. If you've got an area that floods behind your house, tell us where you live so we can go out there and check it out and see what's causing it. Because most times you just get the complaint in the middle of a flood and nobody does anything. And this way I want to be able to come, I want to come up with a program that's ongoing and continues to maintain the waterways.
Very good.
I know this has kind of gotten on a tangent, but would that include like something for like maybe like
debris
in a brook or
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, in fact, there's a North River Walk program or presentation later this month to talk about the North River Walk, but that's also going to take care of fixing the walls that have fallen in and replacing them with something that's more durable and easy to maintain. At that point, I'd like to believe that they will also be cleaning out the river of debris.
I believe that meeting is tomorrow.
I think it is, yeah. It's a public meeting, which you can log on to through Zoom. You have to register for it, but that's, again, we're looking at getting rid of anything that's in the water, in the rivers and streams, because the more stuff that's in there, the less water we can get down the stream.
Well, thanks.
There should also be a program with floodgates. We have some, like we just did one over at Cronenshield. There's one at Craig's Pond right on Corwin Street across from Stonewood Tavern. I believe that floodgate's broken and should be looked at and fixed. But there should be a program ongoing to make sure these things work, because we can theoretically drain a Craig's Pond to become a reservoir for flood water. Drain it before the rains and then close the floodgate and catch the rain coming in. It'll prevent water from going downtown just, as fast as it does. So that's all I got. We got the money. We're starting on it.
Now we just need to get Solitude to return our emails.
Yeah, we're waiting for an NOI.
I'm surprised you didn't ask Dominic when he was here why they aren't returning our emails that we want to give them money. So basically the next step with Stu's project is I need to work with Kara to get her to, we have the money now, to file an NOI for Elginwood and Mill, right? It's just those two. And those would, but we want the NOI to encompass all of the lakes and ponds in the city. But the
Yes.
money that we have right now is only for Elginwood and Mill. But that way, if we get one notice of intent, we save money because we only have to pay Solitude once. And then in the future, as we get more money, that's our plan, is to keep on mechanically harvesting and hydro raking so that we can sort of get away from chemical use.
Well, I don't get away from it, but we won't be dredging. So it's still, you know, it's still cleaning them up and keeps them. Also, we're stocking ponds with fish. And it helps in the fish, you know, helps the deeper the pond and less stuff that's in it, the better the fish are.
Well, and it's general maintenance. I mean, this is stuff
Yeah.
that we should be doing all the time anyways, because if we do this all the time, and another thing that we need to do around Crystal Lake and around Elginwood Pond is we need to have regular street sweeping. So that way there, the sediment isn't just going straight back into the bottom of the pond.
There, when we did Crystal Lake, I believe we also did some deep sump storm drains in the area.
Awesome.
Huh? And they should have.
I'm just agreeing.
No, I think
that's
they
awesome.
should. I don't know if they've been cleaned out or maintained, but we tried to prepare the necessary ways to catch this stuff. One of the things that I've asked the mayor, I haven't gotten a response yet, but besides street sweeping along the rivers and ponds, I think we should send a street sweeper down a bike path.
Absolutely.
I don't think we don't. I mean, it's not like I'm asking him to plow snow, just clean the thing up once in a while, and because it gets its own debris.
Right.
Okay. We want to move on then, we can get to our next item, which is the discussion request made by Dr. Fortuna, EIA.
It's actually Andrea is the first person.
Andrea Kendall.
What was that?
You missed an item. The first discussion item is Andrea Kendall from LEC for 51 Jubilee.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep. Sorry about that.
Hi, everyone. Andrea Kendall with LEC, and I have with me tonight Austin Turner from Bowler Engineering, and then Chad Sumner from Sumco Eco Contracting, and we're here to discuss the property at 51 Jubilee Drive. I'm going to pass off to Austin first, and if he's going to share a screen, if that's possible, Lucia.
Sorry, I didn't realize Austin was with you. I just promoted him to panelist, and all panelists should have the ability to share.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, good evening, everybody. I'm assuming you can hear and see me, and I'll pop my screen up here.
Let's see you.
All right, let me know when folks can see that.
They can see it.
Okay, great. So just by way of a brief introduction, Andrea, myself, and Chad are we're contemplating a future development scenario on this property, and in support of that, we wanted to get the commission's feedback this evening on an alteration to an existing wetland and some work that would be within an existing buffer zone of a resource area. That the work in that particular buffer zone has occurred historically, and we wouldn't be contemplating an expansion of that limit of work, but we are in the process of preparing a notice of intent application. And before we finish that, wanted to solicit your feedback such that, you know, the application that we're going to be filing could be tailored to reflect some of the discussion that we're having with you this evening. With that, what I thought we would do is have Andrea just briefly run through some of the existing resource areas and their respective buffer zones on the graphic that's in front of you. And then what I can do is talk about some of the limited work and some of the things that we're contemplating, including some of the mitigation scenarios.
Great, thanks, Austin. So I'm gonna start from on the lower southern portion of the site. There's an existing bordering vegetated wetland adjacent to the parking lot that discharges through a culvert off-site and discharges off-site. And then there's a respected 100-foot buffer zone off of that, and that's the line type in blue. Off-site, there's a banked to intermittent stream and associated bordering vegetated wetland that also puts a buffer onto the site. And as we work our way north, there are remnant features associated with the former quarry operation. So on the left portion of the stream of the property is a quarry hole, and based on its size and depth, it would be considered a bylaw jurisdictional isolated vegetated wetland. And at this point, we're presuming, we haven't really fine-tuned the calculations, we're presuming that it's ILSF, isolated land subject to flooding. Under the Wetlands Protection Act, that wouldn't get a buffer zone, but since this is a bylaw wetland, IVW, it would get a buffer zone. And then to the east, there is another quarry hole that we did our site evaluations this spring and determined that it would be certifiable as a vernal pool. It had salamander egg masses in there. So based on that, we're also showing a 200-foot vernal pool buffer zone in accordance with the bylaw. And this, in terms of its size, it's too small to be considered an isolated land subject to flooding. And it's also too small volume-wise to be considered an isolated vegetated wetland. The magenta line is the existing limit of the tree line off of that wetland feature. And then in terms of what the western quarry hole looks like, it has very steep embankments, rock face along all the sides, the less so on the north side, but east, west, and south. It's pretty steep walking down into that feature. Austin, do you want to talk on the next points? Did I capture anything?
Yeah, thank you, Andrea. So what we're contemplating, and really just taking a half step backwards, is over the last handful of months, Chad, who's the owner, has received a fair amount of interest in the property from various prospective buyers who have a development interest in the property. What has come from those discussions in any kind of future development scenario is that this quarry hole that Andrea had described is kind of problematic for that development. So in consideration of that, what we're contemplating and what would be the subject of a future or forthcoming notice of intent application would be for the direct alteration of this quarry hole, and then a replication or a mitigation, make it contiguous with this bordering wetland system that's kind of proximate to the entrance driveway. And what we're showing here in this green hatch or this green shade would be kind of that presumptive and prospective mitigation area, which here we're contemplating somewhere in a ratio of approximately 1.3, maybe 1.5 to 1. And with that too, the request or what would seek authorization from the commission would be to maintain this existing limit of work, this magenta line, and have that be the limit of a future disturbance. It's kind of maintain this established vegetation in any prospective future development scenario would be to the left of that on this image, or west, as the case may be. What we would contemplate there too is to the extent that it wasn't associated with part of the development program, is areas which were not included that would be outside this magenta line, and outside of a future limit of work, we would reestablish vegetation in there to kind of enhance this buffer. And all of this is, admittedly a bit high level, but we wanted to get your initial take on this and some feedback prior to us having filed a more detailed notice of intent request. I'd welcome any questions or initial feedback from the commission at this point.
Well, not knowing what the extent of what is being proposed, when you're saying that you want to take away the 200-foot buffer zone to the vernal pool.
I guess I'd say we'd want to work inside this kind of aqua line here, up to the point at which historical clearing activities have been performed. You can see, like, I'll flip to an aerial real quick. This is just the property, and that resource area in question is kind of in here where my cursor is. If you can see this kind of bold or black stripe here, that's the limit of work that was previously authorized by the Conservation Commission, which Chad and his team had established. I believe that's a mulch stock or some erosion control features in there.
Yeah, just for Austin, if I just jump in a little bit of context here. We did come walk the site with Lucia about a little over 3 years ago. When we first acquired it, our intent was to put our primary office and yard space there. We're an ecological construction company, so we do resource area mitigation construction. And what evolved as we explored that development opportunity with the city in other departments was that the ward councilors were not in favor of a contractor's yard being placed in the middle of their industrial complex. So that became a non-option for us, and that's why we've now looked to transfer that property to somebody else who may have a more suitable use for it. To Austin's point, there's a few different folks that are involved with that. Everybody that's looked at it has said, this particular wetland on the west part of the property, which is that quarry hole vertical, didn't have those species involved. They're just looking for some, as you might expect through their due diligence period, what are they, what area do they have to work with? And it's kind of a catch-22 where they don't really know what area they have to work with until they put forth a development plan, but they don't want to put forth a development plan and the resources into that until they know what their work areas are. So in concept, what we were contemplating is, because we do this kind of work, we're familiar with the process, that perhaps that was something that we could address prior to transferring the parcel to facilitate that process. So that's why we're talking about it. We have looked at the property. We came before the commission those 3 years ago before we did any work out there. We were just going to do some staging initially, and the intent there was just whatever could possibly be contemplated as a wetland, we were going to stay away from, and we did. The area that Austin, one other, I think, useful bit is that area of proposed mitigation that Austin's got down there. That wetland resource area is a mitigation area for when that parking lot went in out front. So that was, I don't know if anybody was, I think some of you were on the commission when we came before, prior to us being able to actually acquire and close on purchase of the property, there was an outstanding certificate of compliance that needed to be completed. So that was something that we facilitated in closing when we originally bought it, was redelineating that, confirming compliance with the previous order, and everything else seemed like a logical place. And it's hard to tell from this perspective, but there's a very significant topography change that happens kind of where that forested area transfers to cleared area from down below. So that whole area around the proposed mitigation area is almost a completely different elevation than everything else. So it seems like there's the room that he's indicated, there's additional room down there. And so thought here is just that we're in a position to do any sort of compensatory mitigation well, and thought that would be to the benefit of the property in the long term.
If the commission isn't quite aware, Sumco does these kind of wetland replication areas. I mean, that's their bread and butter. And so the advantage to having them do this proactively is that we get a good product up front instead of having it more of an afterthought by any future contractor.
Through the chair, my initial reaction is that this is a pretty, I mean, it's relatively small, but at the same time, it's a high intensity project, and it seems as though this is a little sliver of land, and trying to just squeeze something else in there seems kind of difficult, to say the least. Obviously, that's outside of our purview. How much intensity?
Some scale, Travis. It's about a 4.5 acre parcel there, just to give some context to it.
Yep. But thinking about it, contiguous wetland is much better than a quarry hole, especially in terms of habitat. At least my understanding of habitat, contiguous land would be better than a quarry hole. I don't know, there's probably some species that prefer a quarry hole. But those are just my thoughts on this. Is there any reason that the city council didn't want a contract yard in the industrial park? I mean, that seems like a good spot for a contractor.
We were hoping so. It was a pretty good spot, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think there's this image, and I think you'd be familiar with some of the other properties that are off of a little farther down Jubilee, or maybe it's not even Jubilee at that point, but the big compost piles where there's outdoor storage and there's going to be trucks coming at all hours and causing dust and all kinds of other issues for their medical device facilities and everything else. So, yeah.
Understandable. Well, thank you.
Yep. So graciously parting with that objective, we're looking for another place, maybe still in Peabody. So hopefully we're not moving too far from here because it's a good location. Yep. Yeah. So that's kind of that is the gist, and that's why we're looking at that mitigation area. Same kind of thing, principles and continuity and sort of things that you looked at. I mean, the reality is this whole industrial park is a high intensity use. That's why it's the industrial park. I mean, that Prattville property that this property passes behind is probably 20 feet of ledge that got blasted out to get to street level. There's a lot going on there. And I think on an old wetland map, there's a wetland in the middle of the Prattville property. So there's
and with the interchange, it doesn't look like there's much habitat going on anyways.
No, it's pretty I mean, if it wasn't impacting the development opportunity, it was kind of cool to find the egg masses up in that one of them, So, that's.
And that was what I was concerned about is that vernal pool is not really so much the quarry hole, because that's like a whole different ball game, but the development near the actual vernal pool in such a sensitive location to begin with is the most concerning portion of this to me. Filling in the quarry hole sounds like a long-term good idea, but development near a vernal pool concerns me.
Understood. Yeah, and I think that's Andrea and I were talking about this, looking at this. I mean, a couple of things, if you zoom in on that vernal pool, is that it's basically 20, 30, 50 feet, I don't know, put it to scale to that 30-foot drop to the Prattville parking lot. So I'm hoping that the salamanders aren't going out that way and taking a leap like the lemmings. But I think they're also, they're existing and doing well in spite of the development around them and frankly, the cleared areas around them. And to Austin's point, the intent certainly would be to augment anything around that area that we can outside of the development that comes. We're not going to be the ones developing it, so it's hard to speculate exactly what that ends up being. But if we can establish what those limits are and get a variance on the not on the 100-foot, but on the 200-foot, then certainly self-interest is it makes it more developable and we can move the property. I mean, that's ultimately where we want to end up. We just want to try to do it in a positive and constructive way, and as much as we have control of it right now.
Yeah, and I think we have a good partner in you and in what your actual intents are in protecting wetlands and mitigation and whatnot. So thank you for coming to us.
Through the chair, before we move on to the next item, I have a couple things I just jotted down, and I did mention this, I think, to Andrea a couple of weeks ago, and it just reminded me when he mentioned that Prattville in the front had to blast. So I'm assuming that there's going to be blasting for whatever you do here, correct?
So again, we're not going to be doing anything. I'm not sure.
Someone is going to be, right?
Yeah, potentially. And so some of the concepts that we've seen before, actually most of the concepts, blasting's expensive. So I think what I've seen from concepts for both before we acquired the property, we actually got some from some other folks that had looked at it pre us, as well as some of the preliminaries from some of the folks that have been doing some due diligence on it, is not so much a blasting down like Prattville, but if we zoom out a little bit on that, whoever's got control, there's really 3 levels on the site. There's the street level, there's the level where that rectangle is, which was a fence that existed before we were there, that kind of that diagonal rectangle. So that's all on another level. And then there's an upper level back where that upper level is, it looks over. So the lower level is where the parking is, where the wetlands are. So the concepts that we've seen are some sort of access driveway up to the middle level, and then either parking there with a building on the upper level, vice versa, or almost like a stepped 2-story building. So there's going to be some, I think the objective from what I've seen of those concepts is that it's going to be some sort of cut fill balance where they minimize how much of that's going on.
Okay, so you're not planning on blasting, because that would be my question. Is you might want to talk to the fire department and find out what the restrictions are, because I remember I was the one who told you to find out about the special permit before you bought the property, and you didn't listen to me, and now you're in this pickle. So
the problem is that every property, so a contractor's yard is a special permit on every zoning thing. There is no permit by right for a contractor's yard anywhere. So you got to figure it out at some point. So, and we have, we talked here, we talked to the ward counselor, but then he brought in his other ward counselors when we finally started talking to it, and they were again. So anyway, bygones. Lucia, to answer your question, we don't have any. We're not going to do any blasting. We're just trying to prepare the footprint for whoever may come in and come up with a development plan. And obviously, they're going to be coming before you as well, because there's buffer areas here, and they're going to need to address those with their own.
And Lucia, to answer, to further Chad's point, I think any kind of future development consideration here will likely have some level of rock removal. It might be done through blasting. I think what we've seen in some of these very conceptual development considerations is what Chad described. Is they're working with the existing topography, trying to tier buildings or parking lots or what have you, almost like walkout style buildings.
I understand all that, but you guys keep saying that you're not doing anything, but you're here because you're trying to find out about a new NOI. So somewhere down the line, someone's going to build something, and I'm just trying to get as much information now. So if blasting is involved, my question would be in the NOI process is that going to infringe upon the vernal pool? Is that going to perhaps cause fissures and make that not be a vernal pool anymore? Is this priority habitat? So those were the things that I'm getting at, and that's all stuff we can talk about during the NOI, but I thought you wanted to talk about that today.
So I think
let me clarify one thing, because I think, so the NOI that we're talking about filing, which we're hoping to file for the June hearing, has nothing to do with the development. It's just going to be the wetland conversion and mitigation. That's the only thing that we're going to be proposing. So the intent there is we, as the current owners, are going to address that limitation on the property right now. We'll then, however that evolves, are going to be selling the property. So somebody else at some point is going to buy it. They're going to put together the full development plan. They're going to come to you seeking another notice of intent to do their development, whatever that might be, because we don't know what that is now. It's not something that we're going to be doing. So it's going to be a completely separate NOI for their development. We're only looking at the quarry hole wetland, the mitigation, and I think if that is addressed, I don't even know if it's a forum. I guess maybe Austin or Andrea can talk to that, but the setback on the vernal pool.
Through the chair.
Does that make sense?
Was that?
Through the chair.
I think that was Vice Chair Bruce there was asking to ask a question, maybe. So.
Who's asking a question?
Yeah, through the chair, I just want to, I mean, I don't see what the, I don't know what the other, how the other commissioners feel. I don't really see the problem with, them coming in with, for an NOI that they're basically trying to improve their property to make it more saleable to someone else. At that point, someone else is gonna come in and, I mean, they have every right to develop their property or to improve their property. At this point, then, that's all they're trying to do. I don't see a problem with that if any of the commissioners do. I mean, they're trying to basically make it more contiguous for sale. And I think it's to our advantage to let them do that rather than someone else coming in for an NOI that's gonna do things helter-skelter.
Well, my suggestion would be, if you're looking to eliminate that hole up at the northwesterly corner and replicate that down to the lower portion of the property, I would do so in a manner that keeps you outside the 200-foot buffer zone of the vernal pool.
Yeah, I think that would be the intent, and then I think
And I'll say,
part of that discussion would,
you can tell who's ever going to develop this that we have a concern with doing any kind of alterations inside that 200-foot buffer zone to a vernal pool. I think we could support the fact you want to eliminate one wetland and combine it with another and make it more valuable that way, because probably the value of those wetlands aren't so critical. But vernal pools are critical to us and are important to us. So I would try to work something outside the 200-foot buffer zone. Do your work outside of that. If someone comes in with an NOI that wants to pave that area inside the vernal pool buffer zone, I have concerns about that. Just leave it at that. If you haven't got a plan in front of us, you're not telling us what you're doing there. You're asking us what our feelings are, and that's how I feel about it.
any other feedback before we let you get on with the rest of your?
I can't give a good opinion on this unless I did like a site walk. That's just how I feel.
And I think right now to Andrea and Austin's point, it was just in concept, or is there anything else? We're going to be filing a full NOI and whatever process you have for doing a site walk ahead of the hearings and everything else that goes with that. That opportunity is obviously afforded. And then, to their point, just any preliminary thoughts on things to consider. And I think we're getting some good stuff on that front.
Yeah, we could do a site walk if you wanted to go out at some point and take a look at it. I'd be willing to do that. And it could be that the habitat for the vernal pool may be, I don't know which way the critters are going. Maybe they're not going that way.
Yeah, more than likely because of they're probably staying within the existing forested cover and not migrating to the west into the area that doesn't have an overstory. And it's justified because we are seeing the species there, even with the existing overstory no longer within the central portion and within the 200-foot offset.
Well, that's important. That's something that could help us in considering anything inside that area, inside the area between the 100 and the 200. If we look at it, or you can explain to us better that the habitat's going the other way, then that helps us to support activity inside the 200-foot zone.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Is that it, folks?
Yeah, I know you've had a long night. Thank you for extending us some time tonight.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Okay. Okay, now we have a discussion made by Dagan Fortuna, AIA, NCAB of Flow Design Architects regarding the existing order of conditions with DEP file number 55-871, 10.5 Winter Street, single-family home in the flood zone, as to whether proposed changes to the approved plan require an amendment, or if the commission will allow a verbal discussion for said changes to the plan for work in a FEMA flood zone.
Good evening, members of the commission. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
So my name is Darwin Fortuna. I am a licensed architect. I live here in Peabody. I own an office right, basically next to Peabody in Salem, right behind the Stop and Shop, that area. And I'm a licensed architect, like I said. My request here is really to, I jumped on this project after it was approved by you, I think it's over a year ago, as the architect for the project. The previous architect was removed. And as I began doing the plans and developing the plans with the approved conditions, and the project has already been, begun construction, we realized that some of the things that were approved were basically you granted us a whole lot and we don't need that much. So instead of asking for a change or an amendment, we're just saying we're not gonna do much more detrimental work on the site. As I wrote in here, we seek to reduce the amount of destructive work previously proposed and approved. We seek to maintain the current and existing grade conditions inside enclosed ground level to match those of the exterior grade in order to both prevent disrupting the current layout of the land and flow of water and prevent the blockage of code-required flood-proofing mechanism, which were already installed. So I'm going to talk about what's the existing conditions were, what was approved, and what we want to do. Very straightforward. So the existing conditions, we have a lot that is generally flattish. It's about 1.6% slope through the lot over a length of 94 foot on the shorter side. The lot used to be a concrete slab. It is located, just to give you a perspective, the blue dot is City Hall, and the green dot is where we're located. It's 10.5 Winter Street. Main Street is basically to the north, and Foster Street is on the other side. The lot looked like that when we got it. As you probably remember, it got approved for our development. This is currently on a flood zone. And on the approval, on the notice of on the conditions that you guys gave us, we were allowed to do our 2-family building. These were plans generated by Chris Mello of the existing conditions. The elevation by the street is about 24.43. At the rear side is 26. So it's about 1.6% slope over that length of 94 feet. To give you a perspective, a ramp, ADA ramp is 8%, which is a lot more steep than what we have in here. The approved conditions on the lot asked us within the building footprint to have an area that is about 0.17 feet higher than the street level, and another area to be concrete slab inside 3 foot higher for some bizarre reason. That would mean basically doing this on the building. It was approved that we can have parking on the lower level and in front of the building. We want to do pavers. All of those conditions are being complied with, but we believe that that is bizarre. It's something that it doesn't make sense. Why would we do that? It was on the plans, it was approved, and we're trying to comply with it, but we believe you gave us a whole lot more than what we should have done. Why are we going to pour another slab on that location? That makes the space unusable. As you can see, increases impervious area. Is a dangerous condition, 3 feet higher. For some reason, it's actually not even enough headroom for anybody to even get through it. Is obsolete with the flood vents that were already installed as per or building code regulations. and it's detrimental to the lay of the land. It creates an unusable space as well. So what we're looking for is we propose to preserve the current lay of the land by reducing the unnecessary buildup of a concrete pad, which is a minor scope reduction rather than a change or an amendment that will be documented in our required as-built plans and provided prior to the issuance of the certificate of occupancy and compliance. So just to show you a little cleaner plan, the Chris Mello's plans, we didn't have digital copies. But what we are asking here is to that red area that I highlighted not be elevated 3 feet above this area and keeping it all continuous, just like the lay of the land. So we're not changing anything within that green area, which is the scope of your jurisdiction, regarding all of the contingencies and notice of regulations that we were granted of locations of trees and so forth. We're basically talking a lot about inside the building, which is above and beyond what this commission is required to talk about. So this is what we have right now. And we believe that it does not require an amendment to what we have. It's just saying we're not building that 3 foot tall pad. The lay of the land is clear. That's how it was. You saw how it was prior, the concrete all throughout the site. And I don't know if you can see the floodgates will actually be covered if we were to build up that pad, and we'll have to actually pour more concrete. It really is a whole lot of work that has nothing to do with the purpose of the notice or conditions that we got and the approval that we got. So basically you gave those approval to go 100 miles per hour, and we only want to go 40 miles per hour. I think that's okay. And that's basically the lay of the land. There's no reason why we want to do that. So the next steps, in my opinion, is this commission to approve the scope reduction, continuing upon us providing an as-built record drawing of the scope reduction prior to the issuance of the final certificate of occupancy and certificate of compliance. And the owner and contractor shall comply with the remaining zoning and conservation requirements that we already have. And I try to keep it sweet and simple because I know you're all tired. Thank you very much.
So the change that you're looking to make is on the inside of the building.
That's right.
And then that little trapezoidal shape in the back, that's outlined in the dash line is what's going to happen there?
So where this area right here that I'm highlighting?
Yeah.
It's gonna remain as approved by you. Nothing being done on it.
Chairman Rizzo, I think it's just the approved setback, the red trapezoid.
Yeah, those are just the setbacks of the property. Yes.
All right. I don't know, it doesn't seem to be, unless I'm missing something, doesn't seem to be problematic to me.
Yeah, through the chair, I was having issues like understanding, but now that he went through this fabulous presentation and I'm looking at the plan.
Thank you, Lucia.
I'm actually a little confused why we even approved this, because he put 3 feet, he's putting 3 feet of fill in the flood zone. So I can't even believe.
To be quite honest, I've been communicating with you, Lucia, a lot, and I wanted to commend you for your hard work. I really believe we had a hard time explaining the point via email these days because of COVID and everything, and and it's been difficult. But that's what I was trying to explain, that this was a bizarre condition. It's something that you wouldn't normally approve, and it's really against what this commission is all about, right? It's why are you building up this 3 foot pad? I think it was a mistake, to be honest. I think it was just a mistake.
So thank you again. I'll say what Lucia said. That was a great presentation. So what do we have to make a motion for with this?
I think he wants us to accept the change.
Make a motion to accept the new plans.
Well, there's really nothing to accept except the fact that the the finished floor elevations inside the building will remain constant. They'll just all be at the lower elevation is now. And not the half of the building's not gonna be picked up 3 feet.
Exactly.
It's gonna stay basically where it is.
Exactly.
So it's,
And the only contingency that you guys approved on was not to have an excavated basement on here within this space, which is something we're not going to do.
now you're just gonna build up and build your building and yeah, I don't feel, unless I'm missing something, I don't see how that is detrimental to the floodplain or it's inside the building anyways.
That's right.
Through the
No
chair.
flood storage in the building.
Yeah, do you know what the flood zone elevation is? Because one of the conditions was all mechanical components must be installed above the flood zone elevation.
Yeah, we're actually not proposing any mechanical on this level at all. So I don't have it right in front of me actually, but we're not putting it there anyway, so it wouldn't really matter.
Through the chair. I have a couple of questions. One, I'm wondering if that 3-foot pad was originally designed to hold the mechanicals above the flood stage.
That sounds like probably what it was. Yeah.
And second, are you proposing parking under the building once you get rid of that pad?
So it was approved to have 2 parking spots inside the building on that lower pad and 2 parking spots at the front of the building. That still remains the same way. We're not proposing anything in there.
So you're gonna put all the mechanical equipment up on a second floor or
Each unit will have its own Nadian system for heating. Each unit will have its own cooling. So that's what we're proposing. It's not gonna be on that pad.
So what'll be at this level? What's at this ground level here?
So right now it's just open other than the 2 parking spots that we have.
Will you be able to increase the parking?
That we will be more than happy to do so. In fact, that was something I was proposing over a year ago, but Lucia believed we will have to come back before the war, so we decided not to do that. I have a big presentation as to why we should put those parkings because I have my grandma will have to walk outside on the snow to be able to go to her house. I don't think that's fair, but I guess it's beyond this jurisdiction anyway. It will have to be a zoning.
Yeah, one more question. It's in a flood zone. What happens when it floods?
So what will happen in here when it floods is water will go right through. Those floodgates will let water go right through and do what water just does. That's what those I don't know if you can see them, but those there's about 8 flood vents or so on the sides of the building. It just lets water just go right through. We weren't proposing to do a concrete pad throughout. We wanted just to leave it as gravel and let water do what water does. But we could put a concrete pad. That's not a problem anyway. But yeah, water would just go right through. It's basically flood-proof construction.
Okay, well, let's just keep it the way it is. And let's not increase the parking inside.
I'm okay with that.
Okay, and then you can build your building. And
now, if you don't mind me asking, with all the respect, why wouldn't we want to increase the parking inside? Although that's a zoning question, but yeah, why wouldn't?
Well, you were approved for 2 spots inside, right?
Yeah, and 2 outside. That's
2
right.
spots, tandem, side-by-side spots.
So it will be the spots that were approved will be 1 in this side and then another 1 on the other side.
Right. So if you increase the parking, now you get another car that's trapped behind it.
That's right. This is only a 2-family unit anyway, so it's not. Yeah.
So just keep it the way it is, and I think you'll be okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. So Lucia, do we can we just let's see here.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find out. I'm looking up what the flood elevation is because I'm wondering if I just don't know why you guys would make him, because the original back of the house elevation was 25.03 and the slab grade is 27.7 and it's 546 square feet. So I mean, this happens a lot with you know, a lot of
Yes.
times, you know, this happens with some surveyors plans, you know, you have to change it in the middle. I'm just trying to find out, like, for
We
whatever.
actually have ever since dismissed that surveyor and that civil crew, and we have a new team. Dan Lynch Engineering is working with us for this, for the proposed as built and all of that as we move along. We've had a lot of hard time with this because many people have reviewed the plans, and it's not something that we've missed. We all feel the same way. Something's just not right.
Yeah, do you know off the top of your head what I'm just trying to figure out, like, why we would allow him to do that? Because it's FEMA flood zone. We said we didn't want an excavated garage, but we're allowing
No excavated basement. Yeah,
no excavated basement.
That's right.
Which, I mean, you was probably just going to fill with water if you do it, but I'm just trying to understand why we would let someone put 3 feet of fill in FEMA flood zone.
And the owner has no idea. Also, the owner, I think I don't know if they're on the call, but they also have no idea why that was approved. I explained the plans very slowly to them and what is being given and what's being shown, and they still don't understand why we have that.
I'm still guessing that it was designed to keep the mechanicals out of water.
Yes.
I don't know though, because why else would you guys why would you put another condition in, and why would it say all mechanical components must be installed above flood elevation as stated by Chris Mello on 7/24/2019? Why wouldn't he say it would be in this weird, bizarre slab spot?
And now, just so you know, that those 3 feet wouldn't really make much of a difference for
yeah, how would you even get components in there? Like, it would be a nightmare. I wouldn't want to crawl in a 3-foot thing to go fix my, like, whatever.
That's right. By the way, Lucia, I think Commissioner Arthur wants to talk. He has his hand raised.
Thank you for noticing.
No, I really like you all, guys. I've been with you for a little while now.
Is there
Miss Brewster?
You had to go to the zoning board, the ZBA, to get a variance for this?
We did prior, it was approved. That was prior to this. Yeah.
So, okay, so I'm just wondering if maybe there's some other board or department that requested the addition of that concrete.
No, and I have the zoning approval right here. I could probably pull it up if anything, but I've read it through, and I think Lucia also has a copy of it because you couldn't come to this prior without that. That was like over a year ago again. So yeah.
Right. Maybe you ought to run the tape to see what was behind your thinking, not my thinking.
But again, that's really, I mean, I'm curious just like you, but it really is beyond the conservation point, you know. So.
So could you provide us with a revision on that plan that shows just one finished floor elevation at like ground level?
Yeah, we can do that.
And I think if you did that, that would just probably satisfy everything, and then your as-built would reflect that.
That's right.
I think, can we do that, Lucia?
Sorry, I'm on FEMA. I think the flood elevation's 27, so that's probably why Chris was trying to like get it up to 27. Yeah, I mean, if I just when people come to me post meeting and ask me to approve changed plans, that's really not my job. That's up to you guys. So if you guys are, I mean, after this, I honestly feel better with this new plan. And I think that this could be something that we don't need a motion. I mean, you guys can make a motion to accept the changes, contingent that everything remains the same with the porous pavement, the green space in perpetuity, and then everything just has to be shown on an as-built. And it's really important that you apply for a certificate of compliance with this commission before getting the occupancy permit.
That's right.
Or around the same time, because otherwise, when the building department, for some reason, people have been skirting around the commission with our new software. I'm not sure what's going on. I have to figure that out. But like 3 Mount Pleasant, they skirted around us and they already have their occupancy permit and their site's a mess. We've been continuing them for like 7 months now. And the only reason why they're on the agenda is because I chased after them.
Now, Dan Terrazoni is being very, very, very good at sending us, at least all of my projects, to you prior to any approvals or any certificates on anything. So by the way, I want to give you a lot of credit, Lucia, because I remember earlier you saying that a lot of people will say, is this little girl, this little woman talking? You have a lot of more authority than you think, and we really value what you have to say.
Thanks. Well, I'm just saying, when I feel comfortable, if the commission feels comfortable approving these changes, I think these make a lot more sense. It was just really difficult to understand him via text message or via emails, and I'm not an engineer, so, and you guys approved this, so I can't change plans. I can't just say, hey, change the plan. But yes, this would be one that I think that the commission could allow the changes, and require an as-built. But I just want to make it clear, so when you're done building this, you're going to want to get an occupancy permit so that your grandmother can move in. Before you get that occupancy permit, one of the conditions says that you need to file for a certificate of compliance first. And that step, it keeps getting missed by a lot of people in the city. And it's something that it's not necessarily any of the applicant's faults. It's our permitting software's fault for not flagging it. We had old software that as soon as I signed off, I clicked on a box that said, Concom required for occupancy. And then 2 years from then, it would get flagged. That's not the case with this new software. So I just want you to know that when the time comes, when you're a month out or 2 months out from grandma moving in and getting that occupancy permit from the building department, you want to send me an email to get a certificate of compliance, and then we can do it at the same time, get the occupancy permit and the certificate of compliance. That's all I'm trying to say. So I'm completely supportive if the commission is.
Okay, like I said, all I need to know is what is going to be the finished floor elevation of that bottom floor.
It will be the same as it is right now, 24.6.
Okay, so if you could just, so we want to take out the slab grade that says 27.7.
That's right.
Okay, so
now on that note, we'll have a new, like I said, a new civil engineer and a new crew doing this new plan. But that's the only thing that will change because we're not using the same team. I hope that's okay.
I can support that.
So I would say if you guys want to just, so he has something, I would just make a motion that you approve the change of that the 3.1 foot slab to the rear and an as-built will be required, which it was going to be required anyway.
So the change is going to be that the raised slab grade on the back half of the building will be changed to have one slab grade of 24.6 for the whole footprint of the building.
So moved.
And then the as-built will reflect that. Okay.
Second.
That's it. We don't need a roll call on that, do we? Or should we?
I don't think so, but I'll just do one because why not? Just to keep, because, all right, Chairman Rizzo,
Yes?
Vice Chairman Comack,
Yes.
Secretary Lazares,
Yes.
Commissioner Vivaldi,
Yes.
Commissioner Wojcik,
Yes.
Commissioner Athos,
Yes.
Commissioner Green.
Yes.
All right.
Awesome.
All set.
Can't wait to see the beautiful house on Winter Street.
Thank you very much. It's gonna be one of the best ones.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Have a good night, guys. I hope Bruce is okay. I don't know if he fell asleep or something else, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to Rita either. I told her to tell me before she logged off because I need to know, just so you guys know in the future, if you ever need to leave early, I need to know, like, because I need to write it down in the minutes. Did anyone notice when Rita Marie left?
No.
All right, I'll find out from her tomorrow.
Thank you,
Okay.
guys. Have a good night, Lucia. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take care.
All right.
Okay, tree request none. How about minutes, March 24th and April 21st, remotely held to be determined.
I haven't done any minutes. I'm halfway done with March. And you'll probably, honestly, at this point, you'll probably get the minutes in July because I'm flat out.
All right, then that's it. Everybody want to?
Before we go, I would like to discuss one other topic quickly, if that's okay with the chairman.
Is it a public hearing? Yes.
No, it's when we would go back to in-person meetings.
Oh, that's something you're gonna have to call the mayor's office for. I haven't gotten that word yet, and I don't think that would be the commission's call. I think it would be the mayor and then Chairman Rizzo.
Right.
Probably.
Never
I
hopeful.
don't want to discuss that now.
Okay.
Eventually.
It's coming soon.
Yeah. All right, can somebody, let's,
Michael, are you gonna go to that Mullins?
well, I guess they asked that the chairman
Chairs go.
of the boards be there.
Is this coming Tuesday?
Yeah, the 25th. Someone's gonna send us an invite, right?
Yeah, if I get it on Friday before I go home.
All right.
I'm off Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I have family visiting from Portugal, so I will not be checking my email.
Yeah, I'll try to make it.
On that, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Yay. Bye.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Have a
Thank you,
good-
Lucia.
Have a
Thank
good
you.